I am a man. I love the delivery of that.
I enjoy Macbeth's majestic killings. They're like punctuation marks.
From going with Academy ratio to being black and white with the minimalist abstract set design. Right?
Yeah.
They're all very conscious decisions. And welcome back to another episode of Real Chumps, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me as always is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we're looking at the Tragedy of Macbeth, directed and written by Joel Coen, based on the play by Willie Shakespeare. I'm just kidding. Based on the play by William Shakespeare, starring Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand, Catherine Hunter, and so many other people that are all freaking amazing.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Wow.
In this episode, we're going to break down Denzel Washington's intense performance, the film's unique visual style, and how this adaptation stands out among the many versions of Macbeth. But before we roll the intro, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
And don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Real Chums, where we post all other stuff like reviews, trailer reactions, and other cool fun stuff. Sometimes shorts that might be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They are cool.
They are, because Marcel makes them.
With that being said,
let's roll that intro.
Okay, Danny, here's the question of the day. If you could play any William Shakespeare character, who would it be?
Oh, easily Puck.
From Midsummer's Dream.
Yeah.
Why?
I just loved his character. I think he's kind of fun. He's quirky. He comes and plays in this, as in the comedy as like the character that is throughout the whole story. But he also has like witty banter, and I just feel like it'd be fun.
Yeah. Have you seen a production of A Midsummer's?
It's been a while. I think I'm pretty sure I have. I've seen, I think, a play version, and then they have there's a video or movie adaptation, or like there's a couple of ones, but it's been a while, so I don't. Mm-hmm.
I would be freaking Hamlet, dude. I do like Hamlet. The idea of like coming back from school and your father's been murdered by your uncle, and now I have to avenge his death. It's like the original Batman. So yeah, I think it'd be Hamlet.
You'd be a solid Hamlet, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I don't know how well I could pull it off, but I think it'd be fun to do Hamlet.
Well, we are excited to be talking about the Tragedy of Macbeth, which follows a Scottish lord who, after receiving a prophecy from 3 witches, becomes consumed by ambition and spurred to seize the throne. His descent into madness, driven by paranoia and power, leads to betrayal, murder, and ultimately his downfall.
Ooh. Let's talk just before we usually start talking about our relationship with the movie, but like I want to talk about like our relationship with like Shakespeare and this movie.
I think it's a great place to start.
I know we've done, obviously we did West Side Story, a remake of Romeo and Juliet, but like what is your relationship with Shakespeare and then with this specific movie?
Okay, so for me personally, I rewatching this, I'm like, oh, it has been a minute since I've done anything with Shakespeare. I think that I enjoyed it when I took AP Literature, and some other English classes. Like I enjoyed being able to read the plays and get to the material that has set stories that have been retold and reshared in multiple various ways in all sorts of cases. Mm-hmm. And so I think I forget how after being not really looking at the literature, like some of the actual plays, rather than just like the remakes of Romeo and Juliet or whatever, that how people don't talk
like this
anymore.
Yeah.
But it's not just like the way that they don't talk about it, but like the way of expression and how much he cared about words, each word throughout his plays,
Mm-hmm.
and what he's trying to depict and the story that goes there is really powerful.
Love it. Sorry, I'm struggling with these headphones.
Guys, Marcel was a freaking amateur hour and left his headphones at home.
I forgot my headphones, but
And he apparently can't do earbuds.
I hate earbuds, I'll be honest. No, that's great. But how many times have you seen this, though? This version?
So I realized that I had only watched half of it.
Oh, okay.
And so this is my first time watching the full...
All the way through.
Yeah. What's your relationship with...
Look, I've read like, you know how they have like those like like youth introduction books of like...
Yeah.
To like William Shakespeare and whatnot. So
Yeah,
I've read like Macbeth, I've read Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet. I read all of Romeo and Juliet. Unfortunately, I hate Romeo and Juliet. I know we talked about this on whatchamacallit, West Side Story, but I genuinely hate Romeo and Juliet. And so like I've read these. I don't think I've actually seen a William Shakespeare production. I'm trying to think. I don't
Like
think
a play.
Like a play. I don't think I have. Outside, I don't think I've even seen like a Romeo, not even like a high school production of Romeo and Juliet.
I'm pretty sure that like it's only done in movies. I don't know if they like to do Romeo and Juliet in plays. I mean, at least not here in Utah.
I feel like I've seen some schools do it, but I've never seen. Anyway, so. But I mean, that's like as far as my relationship goes with Shakespeare. And I want to like preface this conversation by like, I'm not a William Shakespeare enthusiast or an expert. However, I've seen a lot of like the movie adaptations of a lot of his works, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's how my William Shakespeare exposure has been. This movie, though, this is my first time watching it.
Okay, so we're both in the same boat then.
Yeah. I mean, it came out in 2021.
I was really excited when they announced it and I saw like what they were doing with it. And I was like, oh, man, this is going to be...
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll get into it, but like this is Joel Coen, his first movie without Ethan, without his brother. So it was exciting from just that aspect. And I think bringing... Denzel and Francis, two powerhouses as the Macbeths, was just genius. But I think I never got around to it just because when it came out in theaters, I was very much like, I'm going to wait till it's playing so that I can watch it with subtitles because I feel like I'm going to struggle keeping up with it in theaters. Like I just am.
I had to struggle keeping up with it with subtitles.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So I think like I waited for it to come out, and then as you know, I didn't get Apple TV until just last year, and I've been slowly making my way through Apple TV, and I totally forgot this was on there, and I was like, oh yeah, let's watch it.
This was like one of the, if not the first, like the second movie that Apple TV came out with, and I was like really sad that I didn't go see it in theaters. And that it took me this until now to watch this movie.
Yeah. But I mean, initial thoughts. I had a really good time with it. There's a lot that I love in here, and a few things that I do not like. But overall, I had a great time with it. I'm excited to dig into it. But yeah, I want audiences who, especially like younger audiences who maybe feel like Shakespeare is very hard or abstract or challenging to understand and read through. I think this is a very approachable adaptation of Macbeth.
Yes. Wow, I stumbled over my words there. But I was actually thinking like, oh, this is a great version to be able to like, to have an updated Macbeth and be able to watch this and be able to analyze it in like as a high school teacher or whatever, right? Because the production is really good. It feels, you can feel that they memorize their lines rather than just being fed. I mean, I don't know what the percentage of how many actors memorize lines or not.
I'm looking at you, Harrison Ford.
And so because of that, I have this not a theory, but like as I was watching, I'm like, man, they just have really amazing performances and for different things, and they've Coen has done such a great job at providing like a directing the actors and what he wants for what he sees as this play, but they've taken stuff that like people could get distracted by, and they made it simple and clear, but it's all about the acting and what's happening in the story, and I think that's super valuable.
And I want to start off with that before we jump into like the performances, but like more of the directorial styles and choices this movie does. Starting with the fact that this is in Academy ratio.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit what that Academy ratio is, and why you think Joel decided to film this movie using that format. Okay,
so the Academy ratio, what that is 1.375 to 1. So that's like, it's not quite full square. It is, for the most part, it's in that more square format. And it's it's become more of a thing that people are trying to do for depictions, right?
Yeah.
And it's a stylistic choice. There's also this level of like, that's what it used to be. That's what the perf or like the film that they would shoot in is what that would capture.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like not necessarily an homage, but that's they're trying to represent an older feel. I mean, this movie is shot in black and white, so there's no color. So it kind of like alludes to the fact that this might, like, hey, I want to just, let's step back and focus on the performances, the story of Macbeth, right? The tragedy of Macbeth. And I think, and the reason why it's in the topic right now is because Panasonic is one of the first camera manufacturers that came out with open gate, which basically, so when you're shooting on standard camera sensors, they're squares. And when you were shooting photos, you could shoot in this 3:1 or even, like more of this. You got to use the whole resolution of the sensor.
Yeah.
When you're shooting video, though, it crops into the center, like the 16:9, the it cuts out resolution on the top and the bottom of the sensor, so you're not using the full sensor width at all. And so OpenGate, what that introduced was that you could shoot the entire sensor, and what that also provides is more support for anamorphics. Again, this is like a little bit more in the weeds, but what this introduces is that there's a lot more stylistic choice, but it also allows new cameras and manufacturers who want to create more affordable anamorphics to provide a much broader use case or stylizing choices for films. And I think that for Coen, what he's doing here, emphasizing the importance of what that this is a piece of artwork, a piece of play that was a movie back then for people to go and consume as people performed it, and he wanted to give its love and appreciation in a format that felt like it deserved.
Yeah. You said earlier, like it's a very, Joel Coen here is very conscious of the style that he wanted this movie to be. From going with Academy ratio to being black and white, with the minimalist abstract set design. Right?
Yeah.
They're all very conscious decisions, and I think when I love that approach, because you are coming in to Macbeth, a story that's 500 plus years old, right? And to say, what am I going to do differently from what's been done? And he does these little things that I think give it a new feel to it. It helps us focus on the story, but also makes it his own take. And going back to Academy ratio, right? I just love the framing and the centering that does. It really lets you focus on the characters.
Yeah, 100%. That's, and you're seeing this more on YouTube too. Like and I think that like having a vertical format also is inviting more creators to think about what ratio do you not only want to shoot in, but also presented. The other movie that comes to my mind is Saltburn, because so Emerald Fennell, who wrote and directed this film, with the cinematographer of
Linus Sandgreen,
who they made the decision to choose Saltburn in this 4:3 ratio, which is again, it's not quite the same ratio as the Tragedy of Macbeth, the Academy frame out, but it's almost there. It does the same thing. Mm-hmm. It helps to frame you have less room for people to like look at, and like less, you're going to be focused directly on what's going to be in front of you.
Yes. And this adaptation very consciously decides to not do the big war epics scenes that we've seen in other Macbeth adaptations.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, again, the decision to shoot this in the Academy ratio, it really lets us focus on the actors, on their performances. And there are times that it's just Denzel already just commandeers the screen every time he's on scene. And then you do some close-ups in this ratio, and you see how he just commands the stage, commands the scene. And as he's breaking down as Macbeth, or as he's going through this paranoia, the facial expressions that he uses, I love that, because I feel more captivated by using this ratio, and it's so fun. Again, you could have, in 2015 we had the Justin Macbeth, with Michael Fassbender, Justin Kurzel Macbeth, which was very much like a war epic, right?
Yeah.
And so it didn't perform that well, but very different to this. And this is basically, I mean, we often talk about like adaptations of stage productions to film, or books, whatever that may be. But like this feels like a true stage to film, and not a theater production to film. I don't know.
You've said it perfectly. I think really what it comes down to is that he wanted to show appreciation to the material in the most, or like in a adaptation of the film that felt most realistic, but also giving the benefits of what film can do, right? The mithril, of the space of black and void and shadows and light, and being consumed or obsessive. The fact that you are so intimate with the characters at multiple times. With Catherine Hunter as the witches, who is just phenomenal.
Catherine Hunter, man, she steals it for me.
She steals it for me too.
So good.
But also Banquo, the stylizing of his freaking eyebrows, and how much he comes on screen doing these like the monologues that they provide at different times that feels like what you would see in a play, but then you add the extra element that you're like, it's not a play.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about this, is that it feels like I am watching a live production, but it's as if I was watching a live production in the volume.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. And there's something I want to talk about a little bit, like the set design here, because they go with this abstract architecture, very geometrical settings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm even thinking of the scene with Catherine Hunter as the witches, when the cauldron scene, right? When she's on top of the
cauldron
beams,
scene, bro.
Right? She's on top of the beams, and in this perfect like geometric square frame, and the camera's just aiming up at her, right? And you have what the wall is, the beams in the center. She's centered in the frame,
yep.
And she's doing her monologue with the three witches throwing all the different ingredients. But even like in the castle, when the king originally comes to Macbeth's home, and we see this use of sets, 2D paintings for the far images, right? It is, and it's very minimalistic, abstract, and simplified, and that's so unique again because you could have gone the traditional 1300s drab and costuming, but even like the decision to keep it very abstract, straight lines all throughout, really given into this. I keep using the word abstract, but like it really gives into what it is. We're being shown the deconstructing of these two individuals, of the Macbeths, in this perfect, clean cut environment, and it just enhances how they start declining in their paranoia and in their tragedy
because of because of what it just I feel like there's scenes that are just, you're looking at paintings, you're looking as if you are capturing a moment of this story, that like you're looking through a picture book, right? You turn the page and you get like the hallway with like the arches, the lighting is coming through, it's cutting like dark shadows, but the light is coming through. It's when Macbeth is going to go kill the king, but also comes back later when we see other characters use that scene. Anyways, to me, I just feel like every single time we get they introduce new sets at different times, and each time as we go, because they're only they're not leveraging large spaces. And I think that when you're in the castle specifically, it's almost like every instance we're being closed in, or if there's openness, we're subjected to the connectedness of what the actors are trying to portray.
Yeah.
Right? There's no room for you to, like, you're not trying to analyze and like take into account like some war, like you said, the fact that you're doing a war epic, or like beautiful landscapes, or like beautiful castles. Literally, it is just there to be a place, unless it's there to help instill an additional emotion. And I think that's what I love. I will say I had, like, even with all this, like, in fact, I got captivated more with the cinematography in the shots in the first half of it, because it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I'd watched it or even done anything with Shakespeare, and I had to restart it a couple of times or take it back a couple of times. Like, what did I miss? But at the end of the day, it is just so. It's a great way to just be captivated and immersed, even though that it's abstract.
Yeah. I'm talking a little bit about Bruno del Bono. He was the DP, the cinematographer on this. I was reading an interview of his, and he very much talks about how he loves to film in a soundstage. This entire movie is in a soundstage except for the last scene with the crows as they're riding on horseback, but everything else is in a soundstage. And he talks about how he loves filming in a soundstage because he can control the lighting to the nth degree, he says, right? So like his desire to wanting to control the lighting, especially in black and white, right?
It's super important.
Super important. Now, it looks, you will tell me otherwise, but like this looks like it was filmed on digital, not on film.
I was actually just trying to look that up.
Because it looks very, very crisp.
So, yeah, they shot this on the Arri Alexa LF and Mini LF, which are like the gold standard for all cinematography, due to the color and just like everything that comes from it, as well as like just what you can do and rig it up and everything. But they also shot this with the Cooke S7 and the Fujifilm Fujinon Primistas, which are some of like really iconic lenses. But because of, so the Alexa LF can capture, they often use Alexa LF because the fact that you can capture it and recreate what films like film stock a lot easier. It's often there, but what comes into play is like the lenses you're using. So if you're using more clinically like sharp lenses on a sensor that might be a little bit softer, you're going to get a sharper image overall. But at the same time, like, to me, I actually really appreciated that they didn't go, it does feel sharper. It feels crisp.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because I feel the intensity of the actors and their faces more so than I would have felt as if we were going to try to do something slightly more artistic or natural, quote unquote, to say, for this film.
Well, and I was even thinking of, I don't know if you ever got around to The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
I did not. I have not got to see that.
Robert Eggers movie. Anyways, that one came out in 2019, but like, so 2 years apart, and I just feel like this looks obviously different setting, different style that they're going for, but you look at the two movies, and this one just, Macbeth is just very crisp, and the lighting is very, very bright when it needs to be. And you have this juxtaposition between the dark and the light as he's walking in and out of certain archways. There's that beautiful shot where it's just archway, and just the light shining through, and he's just going up the steps
so beautiful.
and walks through. Going back to Bruno, he talked about how he used concert lighting versus stage lighting.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason being, like, he wanted more brightness.
No, and I think ultimately what it comes down to is the fact that, like, when you're shooting black and white, you're like, it's probably so bright in there.
Oh yeah,
because it's such crisp lines, you know. And so, but it also provides such flexibility. I think that one of the shots that I think are really impactful when it comes to like the lighting is it's like an overhead shot looking down. It's like the opposite of the looking at the witches shot with the Jimmy. We're looking down on on Alex Hassel, maybe? No, Harry Mellings and whoever else is with him. And there's like a little bit of stairs, but we're looking down and they're having their conversation. That one isn't as harsh, but the lighting adds a gradient of shadows that like and we're so far up compared to other instances, right? Mm-hmm. And it just evokes such a different emotion from that scene compared to other areas.
Yeah.
And I think that like, because it's the first time watch, I can't articulate as effective. Like I feel like I'm still trying to understand like the language of like, what is it? What is he trying to, what are the decisions on his camera placements and at different moments? What is he trying to help elicit to us for these moments of the story?
There's a lot of feelings of uncomfortableness throughout the movie, right? And just the obviously the nature of the story of Macbeth, probably one of Shakespeare's more darker themes and stories, but there is something really unique in using the black and white. Also, all of the costumes were in black and white as well.
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
Except for like two of Lady Macbeth's dresses, which were kind of accented with gold. But I just think I hadn't. You brought up, you know, how bright it must be in the soundstage with this level of lights, and for the actors to just be professional and carry on their performance in that environment. It's huge kudos to them to be able to do that. I do want to talk about the performances. And here's where I'm kind of interested on your thoughts. So traditionally, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are usually like mid-30s.
Yeah.
Why cast Francis and Denzel when they're clearly in life in their 60s?
Yeah.
Why do you think that? And I have some thoughts because I feel like every
spill the tea, my guy.
Every iteration I've seen of Macbeth, you know, they're younger, and it's definitely a story of ambition of an individual being ambitious, getting that power, and how that power corrupts them and leads them to seek more and continue to kill in order to maintain their power, etc. Whereas this one, just because of their ages, it felt less themes of ambition and more of like legacy.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Right, and I think there's even a line that's hinted at that they may have had a son that died.
Yeah. I don't remember the scene, but that's the feeling you get. Like, he also feels like a sense of slight that he like, when they go see the king. Anyways, and he doesn't get his winnings or whatever. The crown or whatever that goes to, right? In that scene, you would normally feel like, oh, he wants revenge. And he does want revenge, but it's not because, like you said, there's a sense of ambition. There is a level of that throughout the film.
Yes.
But of course, once you made a decision to try to take revenge, you're like, well, this is you're gonna kill this, you're gonna take the role of this individual, and there's that comes through. But it's more that, like, I like that you said legacy, because I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. I felt like there's this level of like entitlement.
Okay. Yeah.
To a degree.
Sure. It's interesting, and I think I want to pose this question: why cast Denzel and Francis? Why these two individuals at this age in their life, this point in their career? Other than the fact that, like, yeah, if we can get Francis and Denzel, Francis being Joel's wife, but like if we can get them on screen together, why not, right? But like, how does that shift for you the story of Macbeth? Or does it at all?
I don't know Macbeth enough to give me a sense of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I think there is a level of experience, a level of understanding the legacy of the play that comes to it. The performers that we have in here throughout the whole cast they're older for the most. A lot of them, Miles Anderson. Brendan Gleeson, Denzel and Francis. We have younger characters like Harry Melling, but Harry Melling carries a gravitas of his own, in my opinion, right? There's of course he after what he did in Game of Thrones,
yeah,
right, and like the level of quality that benefited him is unlike the character. I feel like everybody in this cast is there because they perhaps love the play. They love traditional theater. There's a level of like, I'm not gonna see Tom Cruise
doing Macbeth.
Now
I kind of want to pay to see that. No, I see what you mean, and obviously, like Denzel, he's a classically trained actor, right? He came through stage productions and theater, classically trained, had his big breakout. Have you ever seen Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing? He's also in that.
I think so. Maybe is there another adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing?
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah,
I think I don't know if I've seen that one. Then I think I for sure
with Keanu Reeves.
I don't know. I'd have to like see it. I'll look it up.
Michael Keaton. It's a great one. It's funny.
I'll have to look it up. I like it Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah, it's a good one. Something that I think he brings into this is this. You talked about this experience, right? And I think you see which is something that I like and also don't like. I love my Macbeth stories when we really lean into the paranoia and like the downfall and the spiraling of the Macbeths. I think this movie holds back in that aspect. I feel especially the second half and the third act of the movie, we kind of rush a lot of the story arcs.
I was thinking about, because I felt like the opening arc feels really long.
Yeah,
and it's not. I was trying to decide if where I landed on that. I don't know if I have opinions fully yet. Here's my initial takes. Right, I think that like the opening act, it feels really long. I think that the payoffs they're solid enough, then I'm willing to look past that opening arc because they feel good.
Well, but I think for me now, I felt originally the first half it was well paced, but then because the second half feels so rushed in the individual story arcs, now the first act or the first half seems longer.
Yes, I think it's a great depiction. I love that we see an intimate feel of the fall of Macbeth, of the tragedy of the Macbeths, right? There is a level of that you see, and I don't know, maybe because it's so character driven, this version of it, you want more at these times, and it does. Like things happen, like when they go to Macduff's like land, and his wife, Macduff's wife, and his kids. You want to have more, but again, I think part of this comes through the restriction that they've placed on what they're doing for the entirety of the film, right?
Yeah, no, you're right, and 100% right. But I do feel like, especially with Lady Macbeth, we have that scene where the two huntsmen, so to speak, go out to hunt. What's his face? Benquo, right? And
we so
and they come back
educated over here.
And they come back and what's his face? Macbeth goes crazy with the crow, right?
Yeah.
And then like she calls him down, but then we have that scene, and then we kind of skip ahead to what you were talking about, and then we then see her then now have her doctors talking to the one handmaiden, like, oh, now she's walking and walking in her sleep and seeing visions and whatnot, and the next thing you know, like she's dies gone.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
I felt like that was what was rushed, right? Or in other adaptations, we spend more time with Lady Macbeth because in reality, the tragedy of Macbeth is really focused on Lady Macbeth. She is kind of the manipulator in the back scene and kind of controlling things around. But so I do feel like this version, that aspect was rushed, and it left me wanting more from Lady Macbeth. And I don't think Frances does anything wrong. I think she delivers very well with what was given to her. But I was hoping, again, if you have Frances as Lady Macbeth, like give her the script to really deliver and really give us that iconic performance that could have been. I
agree. I mean, because I didn't. It's been a while since I've reviewed Macbeth. Mm-hmm. I remember as I was watching it, I remember thinking, wait, did I miss something? Like, like I don't remember her. We didn't get anything in her. No, I'm like, no, I didn't miss anything. It's just she's now like ill and she doesn't want to leave her room and she's kind of like, going crazy or whatever. And I think that it's a bummer that they did, and maybe they there was something and they cut stuff out.
Yeah.
But even then, like if they're gonna do it, why not do it?
Why not do it? Yeah. I don't know if I know I've been talking for months that I want to do a Kurosawa movie, or movies, but I don't know if you've ever seen Throne of Blood, which is his adaptation of the Tragedy of Macbeth.
No.
Oh, just powerful. And that, let me look up the character's name because they don't go by Macbeth. So in that one, Washisu, that's the Washisus, Lady Washisu, like her depiction of how she spirals. We spend so much time with her, how she manipulates Washisu, and how she plays this character behind the scenes, and just her decay into madness is just delivered so powerfully that I kind of wanted that from Frances. And it wasn't given to her. It's not her fault. It's what was in the script and how and the final cut ended up being. But I really wanted more of like that descent into her madness. But
I guess the question would be then, like, that I guess the question I still come back to is like, why do you feel like Denzel and Frances then? Like, because I don't know if did you answer?
I don't think I did answer that, did I? Here's maybe I can answer by what I think Denzel brings to this, and I think he brings this stoic at the beginning, this stoic performance of an individual that's very well mannered, well spoken, and carry in his composure, right? And from the beginning to see him at the very end, especially how he sees like the death of his wife just there. He's like, oh, well, what happened, right? Like this, I love seeing that, and I think it's a great decision that he brings to this role of being well kept, stoic at the beginning, to then see him descend into his paranoia. That I think is very unique to Denzel. He's such a modern actor in his choice of movies, in how he performs, in his characters that he plays, that for him to take on the role of Macbeth, I think is just genius. It's such a juxtaposition to what he's done previously that makes it very, very fun to watch. And there's something that he brings, especially like there are moments we have these close-ups that he like raises his voice to show his uncertainty, or he the scene where he's going to the king, right? And as he's walking down the corridor, and we have the beautiful arches and the lighting coming through, and he lowers his voice, and is this a dagger which I see before me, right? And he goes into the room and goes after the king. Like, he brings this level of various tones in his voice, of just facial expressions that I think is beautiful to see.
It's a regalness.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, he brings a regalness, and I think and so does Frances, right? Frances, when she's on screen, she has this eye of manipulation, of like, no, keep it here, you know, but there, and I don't know, it's really powerful. Do you want to talk about fate and free will?
Yeah,
because I feel like there's a level. I think that the fact that they go through, because it opens up right with the witches, just as always. Mm-hmm. How does this play through? And I think it's even more. This question is like, for this, in this depiction, makes it even more powerful to ask yourself which is which. Because we have moments of it's like prophecy, and as it fulfills itself, and we aren't being sidetracked by perhaps grandeur for the sake of what film can provide. Mm-hmm. We're sticking with abstract, and we're sticking with just the core meat and potato, for the most part, the core meat and potatoes of the dialogue as we move throughout the story. How the witches play their role in each intersection. Yeah. What were your feelings through this? We've talked a little bit of the corruption. How is the other themes that come through in this film impact your initial feelings of the overall film, and this feeling of which is it for Macbeth? Is it fate or is it free will? Yeah.
I think for me, it's always been free will, right? Yeah, the witches plant this seed. Yeah, he's being strongly manipulated by Lady Macbeth. But she says like leave it to me, and I'll deliver you the king in the right format for you to take him out, right? At the end of the day, like, it's his choice. Yeah, she got the guards drunk. She gave him all the wine, left them there. But it is him who walks. And again, the line of, is this a dagger I see before me? And as he's walking, and in the end, it's his choice. He plots the death of Banquo without his wife knowing.
Yeah.
Right? To the point, where, are you a man? I am a man. I love the delivery of that because he's going crazy against the Raven, and he's basically just freaking out, and she calls him out, and he's like, yes, I know what I'm doing. And so, like, he does take accountability for that. So it will always be, it's his choice that led him to his downfall eventually.
Yeah. I find that, like, no, that, but the individual monologues of the portrayals, I can't remember what they're saying, but I know the feeling that as they're like, that they know that these are things that they're taking actions upon.
Yeah.
Right. Banquo, before he falls, he has his little monologue. I also love the fact, even though it's not quite a monologue, it's the interaction. We brought it up already, but the cauldron scene, that scene to me feels very much he's making deliberate decisions with what is happening in that scenario, and the witches just are there because do a weird check-in, they're like the little devils and the angels in his thing. But I love the depiction that he's just sitting there. The water is like just enough on the floor, right? Like, and there's this level of the shift of his reality that he himself is brewing to have something more.
Yes. I want to talk about that scene because that's my favorite scene, and we'll wrap up with our favorite scenes. I do love the cauldron scene. I think in other adaptations, it's very much the three witches standing around a cauldron and foam and the smoke, steam coming out of it, and double toil and trouble, right? And they do their little potion and whatnot. I love this scene. I think at the end of the day, I was reading they did 400 VFX shots here.
I would imagine, dude.
Which is a lot for a movie of this scale, I feel like.
No, I mean, you'd be surprised. There's more and more. Like, there's so much VFX in movies nowadays.
Yeah, but like where this one is definitely like presented as like, we're just taking the stage and putting it in film.
Was this scene specifically have 400 VFX?
No, the whole film.
Yeah. I mean, this one though has a good number. The fact that the way they did the water, like, I was like, I'm pretty sure that they shot with water.
I don't think they did
to some degree. I thought about I was trying to decide because I thought they were shooting with water, and then they have the water disappear into in the bricks, and I'm like, oh no, this is VFX'd because we have the boots so dry.
Yeah,
and the way they depicted everything, but the white shot, the white shot feels good, but it's also black and white, so they could also be like pulling it off super well. Sure. So there's that.
I love that scene, and I've talked about it. And again, Catherine Hunter just every time she's on scene, she just steals every line, delivers it. The contortion of her body. I remember when this came out, people were like really like comparing her performance to like Andy Serkis with Gollum, right? And I agree. Like just the way her body moves and lays there on those beams, and as she's delivering these lines, and just the creepiness and the whole aspect of what's to come, and as he's plotting and just the use of not having a cauldron, but like having this like ethereal out of body experience for Macbeth.
Yeah,
as he's interacting with the witches, is just, again, how do you approach a story that's 500 years old? How do you continue to make it new and approachable? Yeah. Centuries later, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
You are honest to the original source, but you add more to it that makes it approachable, makes it new, and makes it feel fresh. And I just absolutely love that scene.
I enjoy Macbeth's majestic killings, his little battle sequences.
Yeah.
They're quick, but they're like punctuation marks. I don't know. They're great. I just really like them.
They're succinct, and again, it's unlike other Macbeths. It's not this big, dragged out war sequence or fighting sequences. They just help you get from point A to point B to keep the story moving forward. And I think it's they were done really well. I love the one where he fights what's his face with no sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was fun. That was really cool.
Anyways, good stuff. Are you going to see this again?
100%.
Are you going to see it again soon so you can digest it better? Or are you going to it's going to be something in the next couple of years or so?
No, I think I'll be watching it in the next month or so. I've had this thought of what Shakespeare production do I want to show my kids?
Oh, okay. Interesting thought.
I've always had this thought. And I think for me, I'll say it again. I absolutely hate Romeo and Juliet. I do. I hate it with a passion. Deep passion. We can discuss that another time. But I've always wondered, do I want to show them Romeo and Juliet first? Probably not. Should it be
A Midsummer Night's Dream?
A Midsummer Night's Dream? I think it might be Much Ado About Nothing.
I mean, that's probably the one I would do.
Yeah. But then I think I'm going to go into this version of Macbeth. Because I think it's, like I said, it's and I don't want to say it's a dumbed down version, because that's not what it is. There is a lot that's taken out, but it's a more approachable version. And I think it really helps you focus on what is being said. You strip away the big war sequences, the big fight elements of it, of that story, and you focus on on who Macbeth is, who Lady Macbeth is, and what led them from point A to point B, and that paranoia, that descent into their madness, right? And I think it's a much more approachable story than other versions. And I think Much Ado About Nothing, and then this will be it. I think this is a movie I will be revisiting this constantly throughout my life.
I'm going to circle back to your question, the fact that we lose a little bit of Lady Macbeth. And I think what it comes down to is that what you just said. Coen wanted to give honor in this story in a depiction that he felt gave it what we could, but also something that could be approachable, something that we didn't have to get. Sorry, was bro. Something that could be approachable, something that he could, that we wouldn't get caught up in some of the additional nuances, like Lady Macbeth's descent into madness. It's not that it's lacking here, and I think that it could have been, to some degree, could have benefited, but maybe to him it was more about a decision of, is it really necessary?
Sure.
Yeah, and to me, he made it very clear that he wanted to provide us a clean but powerful performances that tell the story of the Macbeth, of the tragedy of Macbeth. Mm-hmm. And he does it. For me, I will for sure be reviewing this. And actually my review some Shakespeare, because I feel like I'm, you don't review some stuff after and for many years, and you're like, oh, freak. There's a lot happening right here, and I got to actually put my thinking brain on.
I don't think I would have enjoyed this had I seen it in theaters.
Yeah, I actually agree. I'm glad I didn't watch it in theaters. I think it would have been brutal.
I think I would have loved to have seen it just because of the lighting, and we didn't touch on the sound design, but and the score, just beautiful. I would have loved to listen to all of that in a theater environment. But I would not have enjoyed this, and I love that I was able to sit down and even pause at times and go through what the subtitles are saying. I'm like, okay, and really think it through. So I really had a great time. Denzel is the man. I'm glad that we're going to keep watching more of his stuff because
Facts.
he's just great.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Tragedy of Macbeth, and don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcast. If you do like this episode, please hit that subscribe button or leave us a review. It does help us get discovered.
And we want to hear from you. What did you think of The Tragedy of Macbeth? What did we miss? You can always connect with us on any of our socials at Real Chums, or feel free to email us at your@realchums.com. You can connect with me on Threads and on Instagram at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
You can find me on both those platforms at Rubio.tv. Join us next week as we discuss the intense drama of John Q, starring Denzel Washington.
Dude, it's been a while for me on this one. I think I've only seen this once.
I was actually going to say, I don't know if I've seen this movie.
Oh, dude, this movie's so good. And it is so relevant today with our messed up healthcare system. Ooh, it's great. I'm excited. Go watch it, people. Come back.
We'll see you next week.